All right, let's start this off. So, what's your name? Who are you?
My name is Poppy Dell. I'm a tattoo artist in Edmonton, Alberta.
And so, tell us what happened. Like you just got diagnosed with COVID. How long have you had it?
I got diagnosed on the 25th, but I got symptoms, I think the 23rd, which was a Saturday. I don't even know what day it is. When they say COVID brain, it's a real thing, like you.
What does that mean, COVID brain?
Um,
Talk us through that.
okay. Well, okay, we can start at the beginning.
Okay.
I was in Vancouver working, tattooing because we were shut down here. And just staying with some friends. And I was fine the whole time. I never came across anyone with COVID. But then the day I came back, I went to work the day after and got a call that evening saying that one of the people I was staying with had been tested positive. And they get tested pretty frequently because they work in film. So the previous test was negative, but that one was positive. So there was a chance that I was, or that I had come in contact. So I stopped working immediately. I had only tattooed one person, only seen my husband, so there was only the two people. And then 811 said to get tested the week following because I guess your viral load, while you can transmit it, it isn't high enough to detect until you start showing symptoms. So that's why like when you're walking around for like a week, you're passing it on to other people, but you would still test negative. So I made the decision to stay home until then, and then 3 days after I started getting symptoms. So, yeah.
So let me get this straight. You got the call. You were decided to do the responsible thing, self-isolate,
Yeah.
and basically wait till you got your results back. And in that time, you had no symptoms.
Yeah.
But you were
No
still,
symptoms.
but you were still contagious.
Yeah.
And you could still have given it to someone else.
Yeah. And what I'm like the happiest about, it sucks that I gave it to James, like really sucks. We both have really bad asthma. But my client that I tattooed for 4 hours and was like my body pressed to hers, we obviously in tattooing are very clean. But we both had masks on and I sat with her for 4 hours and she didn't get it.
So while you were contagious, you were with her tattooing in an enclosed space for 4 hours. Both of you were wearing masks, and she didn't get it.
Yeah, and we sanitize the second they walk in. Everything is cleaned up. We cavicide everything after. Every time I take off my gloves, we sanitize. So, and I like do it up my arms and everything because that's like where I'm touching someone. So yeah, they didn't get it, and that was like I could have cried. I was so happy she didn't get it, but it felt awful.
How about the rest of the people in the house you were living with in Vancouver?
Both of them got it.
Both of them got it.
One is asymptomatic.
So it doesn't have any symptoms at all.
Now a bit of a runny nose, but you'd never know.
It's weird. This thing is fucking crazy weird.
It's fucked. So the other person that got it, they didn't really feel symptoms either when they got their positive. And then they were sick. I think they were put out for maybe like 3 days, and now they're back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
James just said that he was feeling a little shitty now, but so what happened with mine? Again, everything is so different. First day, I noticed my voice would crack a bit. Like it would, like almost like hurt, like I choked on a word.
This is after. So this is when you start showing symptoms. This is not.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is like day one.
Okay. Day one of showing symptoms.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna jump around all over the
That's
place.
fine.
First of all, ADHD. Second of all, COVID brain. Yeah. So I would get like a crackle and then just like a throat clearing feeling. And not really much coughing. My body hurt. Like my wrists hurt, my knees hurt, everything just hurt. And by day 3, it felt like I'd been hit by a vehicle. Like I was in so much pain. And then the coughing started about like day 3, day 4. And that was just like, like, I have my cough all the time anyways. At my old job, someone's client called me the coughing girl. Sorry. But yeah.
So when you're coughing, are you coughing to catch your breath or to clear your throat? What is that? The cough.
Both. Sometimes it feels like almost like an acid reflux. Like I like choke on something.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like like I need to like clear something out because I'm short of breath.
Yeah.
But mostly, yeah, it's just like this urge to just get something up. And it was a dry cough for a while, but the last 2 days have been gross. Like I've been coughing some stuff up, but yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to ask about the body pains. Is that like, does it feel like your bones? Is it your muscles? What is it?
Bones.
So you feel it in your bones.
Yeah. Like my wrist hurt. It hurt to hold my phone. James said the same thing. He said he couldn't even like type a text message. Like in my hips, like laying in bed hurt. Like at some points I was just like, I just need to stand. Like it just hurt.
Wow.
Yeah. The body aches stopped at like day 6.
Was there anything that you could have done to stop or lessen the pain?
That's the tricky thing. So because COVID slows down your breathing and a lot of medication for pain also slows down your breathing, my doctor recommended against taking anything. And I'm also on meds for anxiety and ADHD. So like not knowing what counteracts with anything, he was just like, take Tylenol. That's all you can do.
Is it like extra strength, or is it just regular Tylenol?
Yeah, extra strength. Yeah. When I wasn't coughing at the beginning, when it was just pain, he was like, once you start coughing and being short of breath, don't. But I was able to take Dayquil and NyQuil then. Now I can't.
Now you can't. Before you could.
Yeah.
Wow.
But now, what's that?
No, I'm just saying. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, because like if I go to sleep and like I take a medication that's helping with the pain, but also slowing down my breathing. Like if I'm sleeping and my breathing is shitty, like that's dangerous. So,
has your puffer helped at all?
So I take 2. I take like the blue one. It's Ventolin, and I take a one that's to be taken every day. It's an orange one. It's a lot like the Symbicort.
Mm-hmm.
That's preventative, and then the blue one should only be taken for. There's proper words for these, but like for rescue.
Yeah.
So I've been taking my blue one so much, and that was a big reason why 811 told me to go to the hospital yesterday, was because like the increase of using that is like a bad sign, and I had a lot of pressure. So, but so that one I didn't feel like was helping, but I did get a new one for people with COPD today, and it's awesome. It's helping. Yeah.
Before you got COVID, how serious did you take it? How serious did you take this whole pandemic?
Quite seriously. I was getting pretty over it. Hence, like going to work in Vancouver. I know that it's like, I was like, I do everything that I do with my job very safely. I have like a small cohort there. So yeah. But other than that, at home, I didn't see anyone. Only the people that I worked with.
And
I just wanted like.
And before, like, people jump on this, but you were cleared to work, right? Like that, you were cleared to tattoo in BC. You were cleared to try to make some money. They do. Yeah. Tattooing is a thing that happens in Vancouver.
Yeah. So their restrictions were different. So I did a guest spot at a tattoo shop there. I isolated before I went and just stayed with my friends there, and we went for dinner and stuff. But yeah. So what was the attitudes like being in Vancouver compared to Edmonton? Is there a difference with how the way people are handling it, looking at this virus? I felt like a little safer, or more comfortable, I guess. I felt super comfortable in the airport. Being in Vancouver when I would go to dinner and stuff, because obviously I had to eat all the best vegan food. So I would go for dinner with a friend. And they would check your temperature. You had to fill out all your info. Like here, I've never had to do any of that. So yeah, every restaurant I went to, your temperature was taken. You had to write down you and like who you were with or whatever, and your phone number just for contact tracing. I didn't make any friends because I wasn't talking to like new people, and that's the thing I usually do when I'm in Vancouver. So that was like pretty much the only difference. But yeah, even walking down the street, because it's a little bit like you're passing people, everyone wears their masks on the street too. So
a little bit different than here.
Yeah, I found it different than Edmonton.
You say?
But
sorry.
I was gonna say I also haven't like been doing much. Like But when things were open here before it got shut down, my contact tracing was my tattoo studio, my husband's bar, and my house, because I would go there to eat, to be in a place where there's other humans, and then come home. So I guess I didn't really see a whole lot beforehand anyway, because I was taking it super seriously as well.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to get it because both of us have super bad asthma, and my mom has COPD and stuff, so I didn't want to, I was hoping to eventually see my mother. But
how long has it been since you've seen your mom?
6 months.
6 months. It's a while for me. Like, I have a little baby girl. I really want to take her to see my mom, but it's just like, it's crazy. It's crazy because I don't know if I have it, and I don't want to give it to her. And she already had a close call already, and not through me, thank God, because I would never forgive myself.
And that's the thing too, is like, now that I know how simple it was for me to be carrying it and have no idea for potentially like 4 days. Luckily, like, my friends have to get tested that often, because I wouldn't have known for even longer, and I could have given it to so many people. And like, my clients have children, and their children go to school, and just like how quickly that goes is awful. And like, I'm just so grateful that I only seen 2 people, because like, I would have been messed up if I gave it to that many people. Like, it sucks.
So let's go to the actual. Let's go back a little bit. So you're sharing space with this new cohort in Vancouver, and the lady doesn't feel it, or one of your roommates doesn't feel it. The other girl doesn't feel it, or the other person doesn't feel it. Was she coughing? Was she sneezing? Did she look sick?
It's 2 dudes, and no, nothing. Neither of them.
Nothing at all. Just like how we're talking right now. Well, except you're kind of coughing. So
to work, feel
totally fine. Nothing wrong with them at all.
Yeah.
All you were doing was just talking in the same space.
You're just an incubation chamber, spreading it around.
Wow. That freaks me out when I think about that.
Yeah, it's great. Like, that part hit home the most, I think, just to be like, how like simple and how like easily it is to be irresponsible just by talking to someone.
And that's it. No coughing, no like crazy pandemic like thing we have in our heads. How does it make you feel when people say it's not real? Like, COVID is just a flu.
Get fucked. Like, that's stupid, man. I feel awful. The only time I've ever been sicker than this is when I had swine flu, and I've had both now. So
that's like a pandemic bingo. You got like 2 so far.
Yeah, right.
I
know. Third one's a try.
What was worse though? What was worse, the swine flu or this? Swine flu. Wow.
Yeah. For me, I was locked up in bed for like 5 days and had the medication to fix it, but like that, it was like, it felt like I was just laid in bed and drank Gatorade. I lost so much weight. Like, I can eat on COVID, but it's like, it sucks. I'm in pain. COVID is pain. That felt like I wanted to die. Like, they both suck, but that was worse for me.
So let's go through the steps. So then you got sick, you got your symptoms. What was it like progressing from day to day? Because you eventually ended up in the hospital.
Yeah, last night.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, day 1, I could tell just because, like, well, I couldn't tell. Day 1, yeah, I just, like I said, I was, like, choking a little on my words and just started to feel a little shitty. Day 2, I started to get a little sore and, like, a little bit of shortness of breath. Day 3 was when it really started to hurt. That's when I started getting all the body aches. And day 4, I couldn't get out of bed. So the first 3 days, I was like, I think that I'm getting it. But I was like, if I'm going to be stuck in bed, I'm going to feel like shit, that my house is just, I'm sitting in it doing nothing. So I reorganized my bookshelf and reorganized my art room and a bunch of shit. And then, like I said, ADHD. And then day 4, I couldn't get out of bed. And that's like, unless I'm very sad, that's not a thing I do. I like get up and go to town. So that day I was trying to be too in bed. I was like, I can't do this even. So day 4 was awful for not being able to get out of bed. And then like 5, 6, I started to feel a little better. And then, yeah, since then, progressively, my lungs have just gotten weaker. And I've heard that it'll stick around for a while and that I'll continue to test positive, but not, but they said, but you're not contagious any longer. After 2 weeks is what they said. But my doctor, I just actually got a phone with him. He told me to take another week.
Wow.
Yeah, so 3 weeks for sure in isolation, and you only get 2 weeks of help
Really?
for it. But,
what does that? Yeah. What does that mean? You only get 2 weeks for help.
From the government, you get a sickness relief, and it's if you have COVID, you get $450 a week, but only for 2 weeks.
And you're going to be at the end of that in a couple of days.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Wow, this blows me away. So you were feeling joint pain. You had the cough. The cough started to get worse. You couldn't get out of bed.
I had a massive headache. Oh, and I can't smell.
And you can't smell
still.
What day did that happen on?
5-ish. So like for 5 days. And I keep trying. Like I have Vicks, and that's my like big test. Is I like try and smell it. I can't smell anything, but if it's like near my eyes, it hurts. So I'm broken.
That's crazy. They say that's like directly that's a neurological thing that's actually affecting some part. COVID's affecting some part of your brain.
Yeah, it really is. Like I poured my coffee creamer in the garbage the other day, and held the cap of it by my coffee.
And nothing.
Instead of, I just keep doing the most ridiculous things. But I kind of do that anyway. But it's like still getting a little worse.
Okay, so then you lose your sense of smell. Talk us through going to the hospital, because you said you started using your puffer more and more. But when was that moment?
Yeah.
What's it like when you go into the hospital? Did they put you in the ICU? What did they do?
Definitely not what I was expecting. So last night I was on the phone, and then I was like, hey, I have to get off. Like even talking was like killing me. And then so I was like, I'm going to call 811 and just see at what point do I know that my breathing is labored enough that I should at least go get looked at. So I called 811, and they just asked me, all the standard questions about it. And I told them that I've already tested positive. And they asked what it felt like, and I said like a pressure on my lungs, and it felt like someone was like sitting on my chest. I said I was taking my inhaler more, and when I was having the coughing fits, I felt like I couldn't breathe. Like I would have to like try to stop trying to push a cough up just so I could breathe. But I said, but in between, I'm not super labored. So she said, just because of the pressure, especially, I guess that's not a good sign. And increasing my inhaler, she said to get help immediately. She was like, go to the hospital now. She said, if you can't drive yourself, then call an ambulance. But I was like, oh. I was dizzy, like super dizzy. So I felt like obviously I couldn't drive myself, but James was feeling good. So he gave me a ride. Sucked. Like I've never went to the hospital alone. You always need like a support person next to you. So that sucked. So as I'm going there, I was just crying, because then I actually got scared. I was like, I don't know, like, I don't know how bad it gets. Like, obviously it gets really bad, but I was like, I have to go to the hospital. I'm scared. I'm embarrassed if they just tell me I should just go home. So I'm sobbing. And then I go in and I tell them that they check you in at the security desk, and gave me a pink sticker, which I think meant that I had COVID. And then she was like, okay, just go to that window. So then I go there. A lady puts on a new gown and everything and checks me in. Then I go do my vitals and whatnot. And then she's like, okay, go sit down. And I was like, with everyone? And she was like, yeah. I was like, but I have COVID. She was like, it's all we can do. And I was like, okay. And the place was full. So I like found a little corner by myself. And just felt awful sitting there knowing that I have COVID. So I'm like making sure my mask is really tight, stifling every cough, like, but yeah, everyone was just sitting there for their own things. And I'm COVID positive, sitting with all of them too. So yeah, I I don't know. I also kind of felt a bit of relief knowing that if I stop breathing, at least I'm in a hospital.
Yeah. Wow. And then when they took you to the back room, was everybody like? In my mind, I'm just picturing them all suited up with like visors and masks and.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought it was going to be like crazy, but no, like business as usual. Like every other time, I got my own room.
Mm-hmm. So you weren't in the ICU.
No, I don't know what it was. It was a different. I don't know. No, because they said someone else was going to the ICU. No, it wasn't like right where they put people. They brought me like around to this. I don't know. I don't know hospitals, but yeah, it was just like a room to myself, obviously, so that I wasn't in the one with just like the sheets between, because there was people all in those, but I was in like a closed door, and yeah, and then they just like monitored my oxygen levels and my heart rate and stuff like that.
Did they tell you what it was? What your oxygen levels were? What your heart rate was at?
They said it was pretty normal. My oxygen was normal, and I noticed like every time I coughed, though, like my heartbeat would go all crazy. So then I was bored and like trying to make it do weird things and sit on. Anyways, but yeah, no. My oxygen levels were fine, and I also actually have an auntie of mine recommended. I think it's an oximeter, oximeter. I don't know, but yeah, it checks your heart rate and your
oxygen levels.
Yeah, so they told me that if my oxygen gets low, then that's when to go back. But they said that I have a touch of pneumonia and asthmatic bronchitis with COVID.
Because that's it's what a lot of. I think that's what happens. You start getting hit by other stuff, or you're more susceptible because your body's immune system is just so shot.
Yeah, I have really bad asthma. I've had pneumonia in the past, which makes you more susceptible to having pneumonia. So they said it's mild. It's something that like you can have pneumonia and just fight it yourself. It's when it becomes bad that your laborious breathing that you need to go to the hospital, as far as I know. I'm not a doctor. But
were you okay? So when you were in there, I was reading one of your posts and you said that they wanted you to bring like a duffel bag.
No, I just was being observant, and everyone had a duffel bag. And I was like, am I missing something? Am I to come to the hospital with a duffel bag? Like, no one looked pregnant. Or James just said that he was like, maybe everyone thinks they're staying. I brought my beads.
Oh, okay.
And I made a lot of friends with them. Everyone kept trying to talk to me, and I was like, they're like, what are you making? Don't talk to me. I have COVID.
So what was that like though? When you're in there, you're in the hospital, you're freaking out. You got a room to yourself. How did you call anybody? Did people were texting you? What happened?
I spent time on the phone with my mom and my friend in Vancouver. I pretty much was on the phone the whole time. My mom, it was nice. She just kept calling every time a doctor would come in. I'd be like, I'll call you back. She'd be like, what, wait. And I'd just be like, I'll be right back. She was freaking out. She just like didn't like knowing that I didn't have anyone. My mom always is there for me when I'm sick, so she's always calling like, how are you feeling now? How are you feeling now? So I was coughing pretty bad, and she was like, maybe you shouldn't be talking. And I was like, probably not. She was like, do you want me to sing to you? And I said, yeah. So she started singing You Are My Sunshine, and then we both started bawling our eyes out, and it was pretty sad, but because like, yeah, you can't have your mom there with you when you're like sick as fuck.
You can't have anybody with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it's so crazy to think about. That's so, I don't know. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. When did you kind of know that they were going to let you out? Were you worried that you were going to get worse when you were in there?
No, my mom figured, I think it was my mom, I don't know, that maybe they would keep me longer just because of how bad the coughing is. But I was like, maybe they'll just give me something to like suppress my cough or whatever. So I did get an IV. They said to make sure I was drinking lots of liquids because that would help, like with, that like phlegmy kind of feeling of coughing. This inhaler they gave me, they said they don't usually even send it home with people, but they were like, yeah, take that a lot. But yeah, like with those things, like with my migraine and stuff, once they started like putting things in my IV, like it started subsiding, and I started feeling like I could breathe better after a couple hours and stuff. So I did feel like I knew that I wasn't at the point where there was a lady in there that every breath was like,
Oh
like
God.
so loud, and it was scary. And I was like, well, I know I don't feel like that. Like, I don't know. But it's just the scary part is that it's getting worse. My doctor today said that's a bad sign. He said when it gets better and then it gets worse, that's a sign that you are getting pneumonia. I was like, well, they said that I have mild pneumonia. So he was like, well, we just really need to keep an eye on your breathing. But I don't know. I do feel a lot better today. Oh, also, I'm on prednisone now, which is a steroid that opens your airways. It does a lot of shit. It's not very good for you, but that I feel like is helping. But yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what you asked me.
No, just I guess it was just being if you're worried, scared about I guess it progressing. That was my next question. Is that based on what they've told you? Are you coming out of the woods? Do you feel like you're coming out of the woods?
I don't know. My doctor said that it comes in waves. Like it'll get better and worse and better and worse. I talked to a client who's a nurse, and she said she, after 2 weeks was good, was allowed to go back to work. After 5 days, got sick again, was back off for 2 more weeks.
Wow.
And apparently it can be like that for months, which I'm not stoked for because gotta work, but. And then also the thing about with your brain, there's studies that show that you can get something called encephalitis, which, do you know what that
explain.
is? I know a little bit about it. I know someone who actually has it, but it's it just causes like kind of a bit of damage in your brain where like things like focusing on things, light, too much sound, things like very sensory things are really, really hard to focus on and to cope with. So you can get irritable or headaches or all kinds of stuff. But like they're showing studies of people getting it from that. I think you can also get encephalitis from West Nile and from like getting cold sores in your brain. Lots of stuff.
I think they're estimating it's like 1 out of every 5 people is going to have some kind of mental affliction long term after COVID passes. So if you know. If you know 5 people, that's like 1 in 5. That's 20% chance.
Yeah, I know 5 people who got it, so I'm probably the one that's gonna be having a hard time because I get it.
I think it's kind of crazy. What I find crazy about this is you are still relatively young. You know, you're not. They say like the danger zone is like in your 60s or 65. But like you yourself, as you're going through this. When people say that, like it's only old people have to worry about it. How does it make you feel?
Well, I don't know. We had someone in like that was 20 and 23 pass away a couple weeks ago in Edmonton. So I don't know that like saying it like only older people, and like I consider my mom quite young. She's like, you know, got a lot of pep in her stuff, and she's almost 64. Like that's like they over 55 that makes you old. I don't think so. Like I think like passing away from something like COVID and it's like, oh well, they're in an older age group over 55, like that's not a old age to be dying from a virus.
This is like for me this is a lot to take in. So there's still a chance that if your pneumonia gets worse, you might end up back in the hospital.
Yeah. Like my daughter said, or my doctor. I don't have a daughter. My doctor said to keep a close eye on it for the next week to cancel my appointments. And then I was like, well, am I going to continue to cough after? And then he was like, yeah, you might have a cough, but like you're very symptomatic still. Like I still get like really warm or really cold and like sore and headaches, so many headaches. And the cough isn't just like a regular cough. So he said once my symptoms go back to like my normal cough and stuff, then yeah, I'm freaking sweating.
Oh, so is that like your temperature going up and down? Is that another symptom?
I don't know. I got a temperature of 35.0 the other day, and I've never had a temperature that low. Under that is hypothermia. Which is weird. I don't know if that's a symptom. I actually didn't look into that one too much because I was like, that was weird. But yeah, I pretty much have always been 37.5, and it's everywhere from 35 to 38, but 38 isn't a temperature yet. So I actually haven't had a fever. I don't think. None of the times I've checked.
And how's James with his symptoms?
He was so sore, like he couldn't even hold his phone. And then he was good for the last couple of days. He's been super helpful, like cooking me food and stuff. But he did just say he just started feeling really shitty because he's hungry, and he was like, oh, I can't even look for food. So he's like, I'm just going to go to bed. So I think he's feeling kind of crummy today, which would line up because he caught it a couple days after me, that potentially he will have another upswing. But whenever I get sick, like I get sick this time of year every year. Last year I had I missed a whole piece of hair. We'll put that behind me. Well, this time last year I had a cough for 2 solid months and he didn't get it. And everyone kept being like, you have COVID. And I was like, it's not COVID because no one has caught it for me. I just get a cough a lot. So when I get sick, I tend to like remain sick, and that is a part of my asthma. I always get bronchitis. So I think that will add to like how long it takes me to recover, whereas I'm hoping that James will recover quicker because he doesn't get sick as often.
Interesting.
But when he gets sick, he's a baby. So.
I was going to ask, maybe that's like guy sick, because when guys get sick, we're like laid out from the most basic of all like flus.
I know. Yeah, men and their colds.
Okay, so I have a few other questions to ask.
Ask away. I've got nothing to do.
Like, how... if there was somebody out there that was saying something like, you know, these experts don't know what they're talking about with COVID, you don't really have to listen to them. What's your advice to those people who might not be taking this seriously, that are mixing with, like, friends, that are going to see cousins, that are going to see, you know, their parents, and they're like, I'm okay. I'm okay.
That's another thing that's, like, pretty shitty. Like, first of all, you know, I get, like, you get your understanding of a subject from the people that you interact with, and if you're interacting with like potentially toxic stuff online, then maybe that's where you're going to get that idea and think that everyone else that is sheeple is going to, you know, they're just listening to, you know, the experts, and it's not true. Like it sucks to put people down. I'm really trying to change my frame of mind around that, to be like, you're a fucking idiot, like, you know, like educate yourself. Just like I just feel like trying to have an adult conversation with someone, or just being like, you know, like when you're sick or when your family is sick, you might sing a different tune because it actually fucking sucks. Like having COVID fucking sucks, and how easily it spreads fucking sucks. So like, I don't know, like even if you don't believe it, maybe just don't be selfish and think about other people, because it's killed over 2 million people in the world now. 2.25, I think, million people in the world have died. And people are like, oh, there's been pandemics before. It's like, yeah, but didn't the Spanish flu kill like 300,000? Or didn't, like, how many people did swine flu kill? Like, there's so many people have died, and that's what's awful about it. And I think just trying not to be selfish, which it goes back to me going to Vancouver. Now I feel like a fucking idiot. Like, I needed that. I needed to get away for my mental health, for making money to pay my bills. But now, and it's no one's fault. The fact that my friend picked it up in his regular life and then gave it to me unknowingly, like, that's nobody's fault. But then it goes back to, like, young people. Like, my reserve, I think last week had 4 cases, our first, and now 4 instantly, and now I'm not even sure how many more, and it was from young people gathering together. And that's the thing, is young people have this frame of mind. It's like, well, I'm not sick. It's like, well, I didn't know I was sick, and I could have got people sick because I didn't know, because the time it takes to incubate the viral load to test positive and to show symptoms is different for everyone. Like, or you could be asymptomatic like my other friend, like 9 days and not a symptom, and then now is feeling a little tiny bit crummy. but got tested anyways and knew they had it. So it's like, just, I don't know, FaceTime your friends. You want to party on FaceTime, or like, I don't know.
Or just,
I can't do anything for anyone else. I just know I'm going to change a lot of how I do things.
What are some of those changes that you could see in your life? Because this is all by examples now for people who don't really know what.
I know.
No, this is what are the changes you're going to make?
Well, I know now that obviously sanitizing like crazy and wearing a mask fucking helps. My client didn't get it. So just if I do see people, if things change, like keeping distance, like probably won't hug people for a long time, like, you know, just constantly like not knowing if I, again, am a carrier or whatever, just like making sure I'm constantly sanitizing my hands and constantly changing masks, because they say a mask should be changed every 4 hours. Like when that's, yeah. I don't know, just doing my due diligence to make sure that if I get sick, yeah, it sucks that I'm sick. I just don't want to make other people sick for it. Because, yeah, it sucks that, like, if I found out when I was in Vancouver, I would have isolated there and James wouldn't be sick. Luckily, he didn't see anyone, so he hasn't gotten anyone sick, which is great. Our spread was so small that I'm really happy about that, and I think that keeping that in mind constantly is helpful. Even the way I watch movies now, like when they're like, you know, at a sports game, they're like, yeah, I'm like, oh my god, that's a cesspool.
It always was a cesspool, but now it's like there's something actually there.
Right? I miss going to shows though. That's gonna be
I know, me too. I love live music. Okay, really quickly, what was the last concert you seen?
During COVID, the Buck did a seated live stream of the Men Singers. So all the plexiglass, and we all just like sat and watched, and I was just like, do I push my like friend next to me? Before that, I don't remember. I go to so many shows and I'm very
Would you now, if they let's say you test clear, okay, you're test negative, you're feeling better, and they're gonna do their plexiglass show, what do you say? Do you like, oh fuck, I gotta go? Or I'm like, you know what, probably not.
I would go. I felt like that was a safe situation. You know, like at the Buck, like that's why I go there. James works there, and I know their protocols for cleaning and everything, and they do a really safe job. And if, I mean, like maybe like me and him, or me and like my best friend works in my building, like I could go with her. Like I wouldn't be like, let's all meet up, like a small table with someone I see all the time. Then you're safe. Because wearing a mask to the bathroom, taking it off, washing your hands, like I think all of that to me in a sense is safer than having drinks at your house with a friend that you don't know if either one of you are sick. I won't have people in my home, but will I potentially, like I have to go to work, you know, like those things I think are safer. That wasn't a show though. We were watching television seated down. Now if there was an actual show when things start to open up more and it's like social distance, I don't know that I would do that.
Because we are like on the 8th, we're 6 days away from them relaxing a lot of the conditions.
What is happening? I didn't even.
Okay, this is scary. This freaks me out. You know how you got COVID, right? There's 2 variants that we have. One, you could still get it the same way. The second variant, which is the one that came from the UK, is 50% higher of catching.
Yeah, and now there's a South America one, and I think one more.
So
not South America.
So if you just think about how you caught COVID, there's one that's 50% higher of catching it, which means
And they said a couple, or the death rate is slightly higher as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if the death rate's higher. It's just that
Oh no, I did see it. It was and it's not significantly higher, but say in 1,000 people, they say from the original COVID-19, 10 people will die. 1,000 people with the UK strain, 14. So 4 more people in every 1,000 is still significant, considering how many people are dying.
That's like they'll be able to pass it on, and other people will get it as well, like quicker. It's going to spread like wildfire. This thing is already spreading like wildfire. How would you feel? I got a couple more questions. I'll let you go for the night. How would you feel about stricter lockdowns now, to bring down one, the variants, and then COVID as well? How do you feel about that? If they're like, we're gonna do a strict lockdown, fucking 30 days. How would you feel about that?
Yeah. I mean, I'll do whatever. Like, I'm not a fucking scientist. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. I'm a sheep. No. I feel like when you see how much Canada as a whole is starting to go down now, things are going in the right direction. So a little more, like, what's going to hurt to, you know, like, it's like, what are people, I don't understand what people are so upset about. Yeah, you're right. It's like, I don't know. Do you hang out with that many people or whatever? Like, we need to make money. I understand that. I don't know.
It's a hard question. It's
hard.
It's super difficult.
It's fucking hard because then when you think about it too, it's like, okay, right now we'll shut things down, and then you, like, whatever is happening in the rest of the world, we'll get our numbers down. They're just gonna potentially spike again later. Like, I was talking to a friend that thinks that this is the way for like 3 more years, and I don't know, to think that it's called COVID-19 and it's 2021 now.
Well, I think that part of one of the issues that happens with this is that there's a huge section of the population that just doesn't take it seriously, or as serious as they should take it. And that's for like a lot of reasons. You know, there's a lot of distrust even with like vaccines. There's distrust from misinformation that comes down. There's conspiracy theories. There's all of the shit.
And that goes back to the thing about like trying to speak positively with people. Like, I don't know if you've seen Flat Earthers, but in the end of that, it turns very positive to be like those people that are conspiracy theorists, instead of being like putting them down and forcing them into that corner where they're like, these people understand me, this is true because it's a conspiracy. I think just like being more positive and having like, you know, a conversation where you can be like, okay, I see what you're saying, but if you look at this, like, I think things like conversations like that, I think will help that. Like, that's a problem in itself, especially being in fucking Alberta.
I think the problem is you get to a certain point, and like how you said, well, we should let's just lock down for 30 days. I think their mind gets conditioned to be like, she's a sheeple. She doesn't understand. She doesn't really understand like Agenda 21 and the Great Reset. And I'm like, you know, fucking other countries have done it. Like, Australia's done it. Yeah. You know, they're filming movies there right now. Thor, the new Thor movie, is being filmed there right now. Yeah. New Zealand's done it. Taiwan's done it. Yeah. Vietnam's done it. Wuhan's done it. They have, remember water parks? Do you remember water parks? They're open right now in Wuhan. There's fucking people flooding to the beaches, and they're having water parks and parties and concerts.
Water parks? I fucking love that. Man, let's move to Wuhan.
Let's bring it back to Wuhan. But I think, like, okay, so we're going to tie this down a little bit because you got to go. I got to go. It's been about an hour so far.
Okay.
The vaccine. Would you take it? And would you
yes.
Would you tell other people to take it?
Yes, 100%. I got a flu shot. I felt fine. Like, I get, like, if it's going to help prevent things from getting worse, if it's going to help those people that are like, my freedom, get that fucking freedom that they need, then give me a fucking shot. Like, I don't know. I have it. And I can get it again. And I don't want it again. Give me a fucking shot. I would rather get a shot, and maybe if it makes me a little sick, whatever. I'm not a scientist, and many people have had it. Talk to fucking people that work in AHS, in healthcare. They're getting it. They're not afraid of it. Like, you're not getting fucking microchipped. Like, what? We're not in a fucking sci-fi movie, man. Like, people just don't want to get sick. So give me a shot. I will take it 100%, and I hope everyone else does.
It's always, for me, one of the things that always makes me laugh is like, this doesn't sound batshit crazy when they say it. When it comes out of their mouth and when they're writing it down, this doesn't sound batshit crazy to them, where it's like, Bill Gates is microchipping vaccines. And that doesn't sound crazy to them.
Because he really cares about you. Like, who gives a shit? Your phone listens to you. Your TV listens to you. Who cares? Like, give me a microchip. Watch what I'm doing. I don't give a shit.
Every so-called firewall from your DMs to your electronic mail, all of it is easily accessible. by the CIA.
Yeah. If you don't want a microchip, you probably shouldn't be on any social media
Just
either.
get off of it. I mean, if you don't know what's in the vaccine, stop eating hot dogs, stop drinking like Pepsi or Pop.
Yeah, Pepsi.
Pepsi. All right, so this is it. Do you have any words for anybody that's watching? Any pieces of advice? Anything at all you want to share with people?
No, do as much for me. I want to be better.
I think, when you put that out, a lot of us are praying for you. I was praying for you. I was like, shit, she's in the hospital. I hope it doesn't get worse.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. And a lot of people wrote some really, really kind words. So thanks to everyone for being super lovely.
And those that were like, oh, I'm going to text Poppy, but didn't, fuck you guys.
No. I can feel that I'm in everyone's hearts, and it feels really good.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. So, I guess that's it. I don't see any questions here. One of them was like, you have asthma. How long have you had asthma for?
Since I was 7. It was in elementary for sure.
The other one was asking, or saying, like, this is back to Vancouver. You weren't following the rules of being with cohorts only, but you were following the rules when you were in BC.
What do you mean?
The rules of having a cohort and just staying with your cohort.
Yeah, well, I stayed at my friend's house. I stayed at one person's house for half of my time there, and then I stayed at the others just to split up my time in people's homes. So technically I was their roommate because I was on a work trip, which is essential.
So you were allowed to work, and then you had planned out living with these people. Yeah. And then you felt safe because one was getting tested all the time.
Yeah, 2 of them. Both of them work in film, and they get tested. One gets tested every 2 days, and the other gets tested at the beginning of every week, I think. So that made me feel safe as hell, because every time they got a negative, I was like, cool, I don't have COVID, because I would probably have it.
And then you got it. It sucks. Okay, so I think that's it. I don't have any other questions to ask. Yeah. I really want you speedy recovery. When this shit's all done, I'm going to get a tattoo by you in Edmonton. Yeah. I've seen your work. If there's anybody out there that wants to check your work out, and when COVID passes, are you online at all? Do you have a Facebook? Do you have a page? What?
Yeah. I do have a Facebook. It doesn't get posted on as frequently. It just gets random uploads from my Instagram, but my Instagram is at @poppy_del. And I'm also rocking TikTok, which is getting me a lot of people, and that's just @poppydel.
Pop?
And all my work.
Can you say that again for your TikTok?
So TikTok is @poppydel, one word. And Instagram is @poppy_del. And on on Instagram, poppy_del is a booking info highlight, and that's got all the information for what kind of pieces I'm accepting and how to go about doing that, which is through email, but all of that info is on my Instagram.
All right, so when COVID passes, we all get vaccinated. Let's support some brown businesses. Like Poppy. And check out our Instagram, check out our TikTok, check out our Facebook page.
Thank you.
I'll see y'all next time. Ciao.